The story begins in 1942, during the deadliest days of World War II. A ruthless Hydra officer named Johann Schmidt storms into a village with his Nazi unit. Their mission? To steal a mysterious, blue glowing object known as the Tesseract. This isn't just any relic. It holds supernatural power capable of changing not just the outcome of the war, but the fate of the entire world. The Tesseract was once the prized gem in Odin's treasure room. It's not something ordinary people can touch or bury away. It's tied to Yggdrasil, the tree of the world. Its power isn't meant for human hands. Meanwhile, in New York, military recruitment is underway for the war effort. Among the hopefuls is a skinny boy named Steve Rogers from Brooklyn. It's his 5th attempt to enlist. Despite applying from different cities, he keeps getting rejected because of several health issues. All Steve wants is to serve his country, but his body keeps letting him down. Steve's best friend, Sergeant James "Bucky" Barnes, is shipping off to England the next day. He tries to cheer Steve up and even helps him get cleaned up for a big event that evening. Together, they attend an expo on future technologies hosted by the famous engineer Howard Stark. While there, Steve tries to enlist once more. Bucky discourages him, suggesting he help in other ways, like collecting scrap metal. But Steve stays firm. He wants to serve his country properly. Unbeknownst to them, their conversation is overheard by Dr. Abraham Erskine, a representative of the Strategic Scientific Reserve. Dr. Erskine, impressed by Steve's determination and heart, sees potential in him for a top-secret super-soldier experiment. Erskine had developed a serum back in Germany that could greatly enhance a human's physical abilities. He meets Steve while he's waiting for his physical test. After reviewing his documents, he strikes up a conversation. Dr. Erskine sees exactly what he's looking for. Someone who doesn't crave power, but respects its weight. Back in Hydra's lab, Johann Schmidt works with a scientist named Dr. Zola. They've begun extracting the Tesseract's energy into a special device built by Zola. Schmidt is convinced this energy will change the world forever. Back to Steve. He begins basic military training. He struggles physically, and Colonel Phillips doubts he's the right candidate. Agent Carter, however, starts noticing Steve's resolve. Erskine remains hopeful, believing Steve has something the others don't. During a training exercise, a flag is placed on a pole. The first man to grab it gets a ride back with Agent Carter. None of the strong men can do it, until Steve simply pulls the pin and drops the pole. Clever thinking. Suddenly, a grenade lands near the trainees. Everyone runs, except Steve, who jumps on it to protect others. The night before the big experiment, Erskine has a heart-to-heart with Steve. He opens up about Johann Schmidt, Hydra's leader. Schmidt, once part of Hitler's inner circle, doesn't believe in fantasy. He believes in ancient hidden forces left by the gods. He took the same serum Steve is about to get, but it affected him horribly, twisting both his mind and body. Before the experiment, Erskine offers Steve a drink, but quickly stops himself, reminding Steve he can't drink just yet. The serum is about to be administered, and everything must be perfect. They share a quiet promise. Someday, they'll celebrate together with that drink. Meanwhile, in Hydra's lab, head scientist Dr. Zola meets with Schmidt. Schmidt informs him that he's tracked down Erskine's location and already sent an assassin to kill him and steal the super soldier serum. In his mind, victory is guaranteed if that serum is taken away from their enemies. Steve, still awkward and unsure, walks with Agent Carter. Eventually, they reach a secret facility where Dr. Erskine and his team of scientists are waiting. Erskine addresses everyone present. This marks the first step toward peace. The serum will be injected directly into Steve's major muscles, causing rapid cellular transformation. At the same time, he'll be saturated with Vita rays to boost growth. As the procedure begins, silicon infusion starting, immediate changes expected. The machine powers down. Steve emerges, transformed. But celebration turns to chaos. A Hydra assassin makes his move. The assassin kills Dr. Erskine and tries to flee with the serum. Steve chases him down. The assassin is stopped, but the remaining serum is destroyed in the process. Schmidt, meanwhile, boasts to Nazi officers about his new weapons, powered by the Tesseract. These weapons are so destructive, they can turn human beings into dust. The Nazi officers are alarmed when they realize Schmidt plans to target Germany too. Following these developments, the Strategic Scientific Reserve is instructed to take Hydra head-on. Colonel Phillips tells Agent Carter and the others that they're relocating to London. Steve wants to join them in the field, but Phillips refuses. Steve is now the only living product of the serum. They can't risk losing him in battle. Instead, Senator Brandt gives Steve a new role, a national tour as Captain America, to raise morale and promote war bonds. Dressed in a flashy costume, Steve performs stage shows across the country. He quickly becomes a national icon, appearing in comics and movies. But despite the fame, Steve feels wasted. By November 1943, Steve is performing in front of active troops in Italy, who aren't impressed. Steve leaves the stage dejected. He doesn't want to entertain, he wants to fight. Agent Carter reminds him that he's capable of much more. Steve opens up, saying he always dreamed of fighting on the front lines for his country, but reality has kept him away. Then comes devastating news. Bucky's unit has gone missing in a battle against Hydra. Steve suits up. With help from Agent Carter and Howard Stark, he makes his way deep behind enemy lines. At Hydra's main facility, Zola updates Schmidt. Production of Tesseract-powered weapons is on schedule. Prisoners of war are being used for forced labor. Meanwhile, Steve manages to infiltrate the Hydra factory and starts freeing the captured soldiers. Steve continues searching for Bucky and learns from the freed prisoners that there's an isolation ward in the Hydra factory. But no one ever returns from it. As the soldiers he freed begin destroying everything in sight, Steve pushes deeper into the facility. Steve eventually finds Bucky. Steve and Bucky barely manage to escape as the factory explodes. Back at headquarters, Senator Brandt is informed that Steve went missing behind enemy lines and may be dead. Agent Carter tells Colonel Phillips the last surveillance flight showed no activity. She says she doesn't regret her decisions, though Phillips suspects she has feelings for Steve. She denies it. Suddenly, Steve, Bucky, and the rescued soldiers return, armed with Hydra tanks and weapons. Everyone is stunned. Steve reports that some men need medical help. He's awarded the Medal of Valor and gains recognition from senior officers. They finally allow him to join the front lines as Captain America. He tells Colonel Phillips that he'll need a team to take down Hydra and Schmidt. He recruits Bucky and other brave soldiers to form a special unit, the Howling Commandos. Steve visits Howard Stark to review new equipment. While he's there, a woman flirts with him. Just then, Agent Carter walks in. She doesn't like what she sees and calls Steve just like every other man. Steve is then informed that Zola is aboard a moving train. Steve, Bucky, and another soldier jump onto the train to capture him. Steve captures Zola, but Bucky tragically falls during the mission. Later, Colonel Phillips asks Zola why he didn't take cyanide like the other Hydra agents. He shows Zola a deal. Safe passage to Switzerland in exchange for full cooperation. Zola agrees and shares vital info. He says Schmidt believes he's walking in the footsteps of the gods, and nothing short of global domination will satisfy him. Phillips demands to know Schmidt's target. Everywhere, Zola replies. Elsewhere, Schmidt rallies his army, announcing that Hydra will soon become master of the world. Back at base, Steve is devastated by Bucky's death. Agent Carter finds him in grief and encourages him to stop blaming himself. If he truly trusted his friend, he must channel that pain into defeating Schmidt. Colonel Phillips warns that Schmidt plans to destroy half the world. Starting with the US, Howard Stark reveals that Schmidt's power is unlike anything they can match. He could wipe out the entire eastern seaboard in just 1 hour. Zola's intel says Hydra's final base is located in the Alps, 500 feet below ground. Steve decides to strike first. He infiltrates the base alone, taking out soldiers silently. Steve boards the Hydra aircraft and learns Schmidt is about to attack the US with Tesseract-powered weapons. One of Schmidt's soldiers tries to throw Steve out, but he kills the attacker and gets back on board. At the heart of the ship, Steve finds the Tesseract and Schmidt. Steve crashes the aircraft into the Arctic Ocean, sacrificing himself to save millions. Later, Howard Stark recovers the Tesseract from the ocean, but there's no sign of the aircraft or Steve's body. He's presumed dead. Agent Carter is heartbroken when she sees Steve's photo. But then, Steve opens his eyes. He's lying in a hospital bed in New York. A radio is playing a baseball game from 1941, one he remembers attending.